record multiple. Hey, welcome to my video on how to record multiple audio streams in OBS. Please give me a like button, and at the end of the video, if you can, leave a comment. That greatly helps me out and I appreciate it. Before we get into the how, I want to talk a little bit on the why. For me personally, I record my D&D and TTRPG games and put them on my YouTube. But I do a little bit of editing to trim down the time and keep the video centered on the story. Now, also, there are times, in my D&D sessions and where people maybe talk over each other a little bit, or there's some audio issues, someone's dog is barking, or someone coughs or sneezes, something like that, and it kind of overrides someone else talking or some other audio that I want to keep in there. In that case, if I have separate audio tracks, I can take one out without losing the other one and without making the video choppy as much as possible. Same thing with if you're recording a video game or something like that, and maybe you say something that you want to edit out of the video, or you sneeze, or whatever, or like your friends on Discord that you're playing your game with have some audio issues. You can cut that out without losing that chunk of the game and the video and the audio that goes along with it. So here's the steps that we're going to be following throughout this video. I will leave them as timestamps in the video. If you want to skip to a certain part that you want to know about, you can look at the timestamps in the comments or on the YouTube track there and skip to that part. The apps that we'll need are as follows. So OBS is what I'm going to be using, not OBS Streamlabs. For recording videos, I find OBS is a lot more lightweight, less memory intensive. It doesn't have as many features that are geared towards streaming and stuff, but I don't need them when I'm just simply recording my videos. And I know that the process will probably be fairly similar in Streamlabs, but I'm not 100% because it's been a while since I used it. So this is for just OBS, and I'll leave the links for these programs in the description of the video as well. We will be using Audacity to rip the audio streams out of the video file that OBS makes. And then finally, you'll need a video editing program that's going to be able to support multiple audio tracks. Here's just a few. Vegas and Corel Video Studio are both good programs that support this. They do cost, and they can be a little pricey, although if you keep an eye out on humblebundle.com, a lot of times they go on there on sale there for 25 to $50. An alternative that's free is DaVinci Resolve, which is a free program, and the links will be in the description below. All right, first thing we're going to talk about is adding or setting up our audio inputs and outputs in OBS. Now, this is my OBS screen. It's going to probably look different than yours. I moved things around a little bit, the layout, but the elements should all be the same. Over here, I have my audio mixer, and this is going to show like the different, audio sources, and, if you can mute them, and it'll show you the sounds, like the green bar will move up when the sound is there. So you'll know that it's receiving sound. So if you see something in there that's not picking up right, or you have like a device that you want a source for audio input or output that's not being recorded, or you want to modify, where we're going to look at is in the sources. Now these are per scene, so you might have to do this, once you set up the audio source, it's in there. You just have to add it to the different scenes. So if you're not seeing, so you see my microphone is in here, and that adds it over on the audio mixer. If you're not seeing the one that you want, you click on the little plus sign in the sources. Now it's going to bring up what do we want to add. So we're going to want to either add an audio input if it's a microphone or something that's, bringing audio in. Another option might be a window capture or a game capture, because those devices, if you're capturing a game, in the properties of that window, you can select to capture the audio from it, and then the audio from that game will show up over here in the audio mixer. Same thing with the window capture. If you want to just capture an application window, you can also go into the properties of that and check capture audio, and then that audio will show up over here. You want to give that window capture a name so you know what the audio is from. But and when you add one of these, it's going to ask you, do you want to create a new one or do you want to add an existing one? So for like a microphone or headphones, if you already have it set up in here on another scene, you'll just choose add existing and then choose the device you want. Otherwise, you'll create a new one. I would give it a name that means something to you other than the generic audio input. So that way you know where the audio is coming from. And for those microphones and the audio input and output, if you go into the properties of them, it's pretty simple. You just select the device that you want to use. Now, if you go to a property, this is a property of a window capture. Game capture is going to look very similar. You'll see here, there's this option here that says that it's beta. It's a beta feature to capture the audio for that. Now, if you have that, it's by default is not checked. If you check that, that will add that window. You can name it, but it will add that into the audio mixer. And so you can have, so if it's like, for me, as you can see, it's Chrome window for this particular tab. It's red because it's not open right now when I took the screenshot. So you want to check that. Now, caveat here is I have not tested this with video games. So depending on the game and how intensive the audio streams are, or something like that, that might not be as smooth. Your mileage may vary, basically. So that's pretty much the setup for the audio input and output. But one of the tips I wanted to say is to keep your audio separate. And what I mean by that is, for example, for me, I record my Discord. So in Discord, I have the output to my headphones that come through like USB headphones, right? So on my game or my system, I don't want the headphones to be my output on anything else other than Discord. So that way when I record that track, that audio track that's Discord, it only picks up the Discord audio because that's the only thing going to those headphones. And just like that window I showed you here, for that window, that track that we set this on later is only going to record from this window or from this game, whatever, right? So like they're not mixed up. That way it will allow you to modify the audio just for that device without having to modify it for everything. For better recording quality and smoother editing, the more separate you can keep your audio, the better. All right, from here, we're going to talk about setting up our audio tracks. Now, back on this screen here, there we go, the audio mixer with the title window there. If you click on that, you'll see this little menu pop up. You want to choose Advanced Audio Properties, and that's going to bring up this window. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do on this window here is at the bottom, make sure this button down here, Active Sources Only, is checked. What that will do is it will limit, I have kind of a long list here that I have set up for this particular scene. It's going to limit those audio sources to only ones that are active. So once you have that selected, we're also going to be taking a look over here on the right is the tracks. Now these OBS supports 6 tracks, and basically any of these audio devices that are listed, you select which track their data gets recorded on. For example, I have 3 that I really care about when I record my videos for my D&D sessions or Pathfinder sessions. So the first one in the red is the Discord audio, and you can see that I have, you can see on all 3 of these, I have channel 1 selected. So like when I export the video and I open it in like VLC or any other video viewer, video file viewer program, it will show the audio. It reads audio track 1 by default. So all 3 of these will show up. So on Discord audio, I have it coming also on track 3, and then on my Foundry, which would be like your game, would come in on track 4, and then my microphone would be track 1. Now I selected all of them on track 6 just in case I've never needed it, but like just in case maybe something, I accidentally unchecked one, or there was something on another audio that I wanted to get that I didn't getting these three, and I'm like, oh, I could pull it in from track 6 if I wanted to. So once you select these, you want to make sure, for example, like I have my microphone is selected as track 2, and I make sure nothing else is on track 2. And then for track 3, I make sure this is track 3 and nothing else is on track 3. Same on track 4 and so on, right? You might have more sources, like I have my desktop audio coming on track 5, but I usually have it muted. So that way I don't get any Windows notifications or like the Discord message notifications or, you know, whatever popping up from my system doesn't bleed through. So next thing we're going to want to do when we close that window, when we get that set up, is we're going to go to File and we're going to go to Settings. And on the left-hand side of the settings screen, we're going to click on Output. Then at the top, we're going to make sure it's Advanced. I think it defaults to Simple, but we'll change it to Advanced if it's not. And then we're going to go to the Recording tab. We want to make note of our recording path. I set it to G drive, my G drive in a videos folder, just because these video files get very large. And if you have it on your C drive and it fills up your C drive, your computer starts not working so well when it has a full C drive. So if you have an external drive or a secondary drive with a lot of space, that would be what I would recommend. If you only have a C drive, then, make do, I guess. Just make sure you don't fill it up. And the last thing we want to check is that our recording format is the Matroska video or MKV file format. Now, there is ways to do this with MPEG and stuff like that, but it's a lot more complicated, and I couldn't really get it to work very well. I know that this format works well, and it natively supports multiple audio tracks. So once we got those settings in there, the next thing we want to check is our audio tracks. This is, we're going to specify which audio tracks we wanted to record. Maybe you only had 2. So you would only check 1, 2, 3, like you had both of them on one and then separate them. For me, I could check 1, 2, 3, and 4 and then leave 5, 6 unchecked, and then it won't record those tracks in the video. And it might save a little bit on space. I don't think a lot, but it might save, after like a couple hour video, it might save a couple 100 megs. But it's up to you. I have all of them checked usually, but you don't have to. And everything else in here, as long as everything else is working, leave it alone. Don't change anything. All right. And our next step is going to be to record the video. Now, ideally, you want to record in the same environment, basically, or the same setup that you're going to want to be recording in. So if you need a Discord, someone in Discord, get a friend to jump into Discord and chat with you and talk while you're talking, run your game, basically try to recreate the situation as close as possible as to what you're going to need to test it out. Once you record that, we're going to open up Audacity and we're going to extract the audio tracks from that video, the extra audio tracks from that video. So once Audacity opens, we're going to go to File and we're going to go to Open, and we're going to check that video file where, remember where you had your recording saved here, like the recording path here in number 4. We're going to go to that path. We're going to find that file. We're going to open it in Audacity. And when you do, you're going to get a little pop-up window that looks like this. And it's basically, we had 6 tracks. These are the 6 audio tracks. If you only selected 3 of them, you'll only see 3 pop up. So it basically is this, right? So our microphone was on track 1 and 2. So 2 is going to be our microphone. The red track was our Discord audio. So that's going to be on track 3. And then the yellow one, which is disconnected from here, is our Foundry or game, and it's going to be on track 4. So they kind of line up, correlate to those. So you can select multiple ones, but I would only select one. Select like track 2, and then that'll open up. It'll take a minute to load, depending on how big it is. It might take up to a minute or 2. But once that loads up, what you want to do is probably click somewhere in the screen where there's a blue line, like where there's a lot of blue waves, and click play and make sure it's the track that you think it is. Like verify which track recorded and that it's only that track. Maybe listen for a minute or 2 and just, you know, kind of verify that, hey, this is the bright track that I want. It's only got my voice. You know, if this was a microphone, it's only got my voice. And so then we'll stop the audio and we'll go to File, and we're going to choose Export Audio. And that will bring up this window. So the first thing we want to do is it's going to have the same name as the video file. What I usually do is just put a dash. Oops, I just put a dash and then like microphone for like the first audio track, dash Discord, dash game, you know, whatever you want to label those. Just kind of give them different names. But I keep the same format so I know which video file it corresponds to. Get in the folder that you want to save it in. I save it in the same folder as my video file, so that way I know where they both are. And then the format, I choose OGG. It's a little bit better quality than MP3 and usually a bit smaller, if not about the same size. But you can choose MP3, you can choose WAV, whatever works for you. Maybe your video editor doesn't support that format and you can choose a different format. Then we want to make sure that entire project is selected and not just current selection or multiply. We want an entire project, so it exports the whole thing. Maybe you accidentally selected a section and friggin' didn't notice, and we don't want to only do the selection, so we want to do entire project and then say export. That'll take a minute or two as well to export. And then you want to come over and go to File and go to Close, and then we basically start over. We open and we select the next video or the next track and go through that same process. Listen to it, export it, give it a different name. And once you've done all the tracks that you want, the next step is to open it up in our video editing program. And you can see here I have my video. These top two are my video and the sound for track 1, the sound that's default in that. Now, normally I mute this. You know, with Vegas, you just click the M here and it will mute that track. But you can, you know, mute it however you would mute a track in your video editing software. But if we look at it here, we see that like this little pattern matches up to this one. And we see that this little tiny dot there matches up there. And if we go, you know, go along like this little section here, matches up here. And so this is both of these, you know, these two combined. There's nothing on this one right now. That comes in later, but in this screenshot that I took, there was nothing on it. But if there was a little blip here, it would also show up here. So that's why I mute this one, because otherwise they'll be duplicated. So now you're ready to edit your video file how you would normally edit it in the video editor. One tip I have for this is to group your tracks. Is maybe just group all 3 of these audios together and not the video, but I usually just group them all. So that way when I cut one, you know, if I slice one, it slices them all in the same spot. So that way if I'm cutting a chunk of the video out or whatever, it's cutting them all in the same spot. I usually don't delete pieces of the audio out, so that way it doesn't move the audio up. I usually just slice it at the beginning and the end of the area that I want to take out, and then I mute that section. So, but that's getting into video editing. That's a different video. That's just a tip I have. So that's pretty much it. That's the object of the video, was to export and record with multiple audio tracks and then get them into your video editor. So thanks so much for watching. Again, please hit that like button, subscribe if you like some occasional how-to technical videos, especially regarding tabletop role-playing games, or if you like D&D and Pathfinder actual play videos, you know, give mine a view, check them out, see if you like them, and give me a subscribe. If you have any other tips or suggestions for video editing software or audio editing software that do these as well, leave them in the comments for everyone else. And thanks again.